I think the emotional toll I felt on day one is more than I expected.
It just blows my mind.
Now, reaction tonight from 2 Arizona nurse practitioners after their first shifts in a clinic treating refugees from Ukraine. And their story, part of a series we're airing this week, profiling local volunteers working with refugees fleeing to escape the war. You saw it all firsthand, Jared.
Yeah, we met several of them in different parts of Poland last week. These are folks who dropped everything here at home to go volunteer. We met a variety of volunteers doing all kinds of humanitarian aid. Some refugees are now being treated by a Phoenix-based medical staff. They're arriving without their medications and with health issues and injuries they've picked up along the way. Nurse practitioners Mary Ellen Quinn and Ken Wysocki treat patients here in the valley. Mary Ellen's experience in Haiti last year inspired a trip this month to Poland. We met them on the other side of the world, scrubs still on. Was it just like one person after another? Were you busy all day?
Oh, yes.
They'd just left their first shift inside a refugee clinic in Warsaw.
It was intense.
It was overwhelming.
Day one, they treated all ages, from newborns to the elderly, some of whom had never left their Ukrainian villages in their lives.
See the vulnerability. It just really adds a whole other level to why we're here.
It just blows my mind. And when we're dealing with thousands of individuals in one center alone, and there's many centers across the country helping these individuals, it's unfathomable what's all going on.
This is Ken's first humanitarian mission, and for Mary Ellen, she says what she's seeing here with Ukrainians fleeing war is far different from what she witnessed in Haiti after the earthquake.
No, this does not compare to that. I mean, this is truly, you're seeing the effects of war.
We were not allowed inside their clinic, but were invited into another, where we met Yulia and her 12-year-old daughter Sophia, who just arrived from Mariupol. Blood tests revealed dehydration and other deficiencies. Understandable, since they spent weeks underground in a bunker before a neighbor drove them to Poland. They had to leave the men in their family behind.
People, they died. They still dying in this Mariupol. And some people died not because they sent rockets, not from the bomb, because they have no food, no water, and no humanitarian help.
No electricity.
Электричество тоже там. No electricity, nothing. Any internet. No network.
Ken and Mary Ellen are finding stress is compounding the refugees' illnesses.
Coughs and colds, and people are worn down.
Unfortunately, become ill along the way, or sprained an ankle, or perhaps are still dealing with shrapnel wounds.
They left their jobs and lives in Arizona for a week and are encouraging other medical professionals to consider making the trip to Poland.
We need man and women power. We need people here that can hold hands and help that whole process.
You have to be here in the moment with these people to understand how their lives have just been torn apart. They don't know where they're going next, and you just see the effects of war on innocent people.
Mary Ellen and Ken are there with the group International Medical Relief. By the way, Ken's grandparents grew up near the border of Ukraine, so that's one of the reasons why he wanted to go help out there, Nicole. And as these stories air over the course of this week, you'll see a QR code pop up on the screen. You can use that to donate directly to the causes we are highlighting this week, and many of them are being helped out greatly by volunteers from Arizona.
Yeah, and when you were showing inside all those beds crammed together, it struck me like how they just have some small gathering of personal belongings. Right as you're saying, they left the men and boys and their families behind. So it's just so striking the amount of loss they're dealing with.
It is, and you know, the mother and daughter who were from Mariupol, they just arrived that day, and they invited us in. They wanted to tell their story. They wanted to make sure that people are aware that all those folks that you were mentioning a moment ago who are under fire at that steel mill in Mariupol, they're all still there. They're trapped. And they're relying on these humanitarian missions to get them out in small groups. I
know you had talked before about how Google Translator kind of saved the day many times and bridging that gap. What else was the big thing that surprised you in traveling there?
Well, speaking of that translation, the woman who was translating for us there, Natalia, she helped us greatly over the course of the 4 days. She's a refugee herself. She had to leave her 19-year-old son behind in Kyiv and didn't even get to say goodbye to him. So it's Everyone there has a story, and I think this week in the stories that we're presenting, you'll see how Arizonans are having a direct impact on the lives of these refugees.
And while Ken had a family connection, many others didn't and don't. Just felt compelled to move to make a difference, like the gentleman, the young man from Chandler who we profiled in the last hour. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of these reports.
Each night this week?
And all week, behind the scenes, he's posting more of kind of the backstory on your social media pages as well.
There's a lot of behind the scenes
cool.
stuff that we're not going to air that I think people will find
much.
interesting, including how normal life is in Poland. We went to so many cities and the bars are full, the restaurants are full, the shopping districts are full. You'd never know there's a war next door. A lot of that's on our social media.
Yeah, a modern metropolis, but becoming a refugee war zone.
At least temporarily.
Thank you for those reports, Jared. And